My 20s are a nightmare. Literally, I have more panic attacks, depressive episodes, and uncontrollable thoughts than ever before. In fact, responsibilities keep mounting up, and it feels as though I missed out on an essential handbook to adulthood. I keep rummaging through my thoughts, wondering why it appears as if every day keeps getting gloomier to the point where color has slowly been drained from life. So I start to think to myself, perhaps the way I view life stems from my childhood experiences, dreams, and expectations. Truly, I had an overactive imagination when I was younger. I might have planned my entire adulthood to a dot. I knew what I wanted, okay? Nevertheless, there are two scenarios to what I wanted my adulthood to look like. The first and most ridiculous one being that by the age of 23, I wanted to be married with kids and a stable job. So horrific, right? I'm cringing as I say this. I'm 23 and I'm so glad I'm not there yet. Technically, I wouldn't mind a job. That was the only reasonable part in this scenario. My second scenario was concocted when I was going through my emo phase and pretty much hated people. This was the longest phase which I'm still recovering from. Anyway, I somehow thought by the time I was 23, I would have my own house in a very isolated area where I would have a duck pond and a big library. I also thought by then I would be a successful published author. Technically, I do like the second scenario with the exception of hating people. I love people now. These scenarios happened in different stages in my life, and as I grew older, I kept adjusting them every time I developed new passions and hobbies. Mind you, I did go through a lot of passions. I mean, I'm a fashion designer with a degree in industrial psychology and psychology. Who would have thought? I was so sure I would study English literature and fine art. My younger self would be so disappointed. Needless to say, this just shows that when I was younger, I genuinely thought I would have figured it all out by now. I thought I knew what I wanted, and I believed that the way towards that success was straightforward and smooth. Reality hit like a slap in the face, and I'm so lost. I'm in my 20s and I haven't figured anything out. I've lost so much and I feel drained. I've experienced the kind of horrors that would have broken my younger self, yet I'm still standing. Sometimes I hate that I have the audacity to still stand tall when my world is falling apart. Or maybe my younger self has broken and I'm the result of traces of her that's left, if there's anything left. It makes sense because I feel like I've lost her. I've changed and I hate it sometimes. The girl with eyes that sparkled with so much hope and enthusiasm that could have conquered anything. She built a beautiful world in her heart and she wanted it to be hers. She would do anything to get to her dream, but she's gone. In her place is doubt, anxiety, traumas, confusion, and distractions. It appears as if only a shell of her is left. So I try to search for her because I suppose I want her back. I look for her in her drawings, the stories she wrote, and the books she read. I comb through for traces of her, even if it's just a strand, because I believe she's the only way towards the light at the end of the dark tunnel I'm trapped in. But I don't find her. After all, how can I find something that's no longer there? It's like hunting for a ghost. I give up and look at the one that's left. The shell. It's fascinating because the more I look, the more I see that she's in fact not a shell. She's a whole person. Not different, just an evolved version of the sparkle-eyed girl. She's a work in progress and I think she's kinda cool. She does not only dream but dares to try. Barriers and limitations do not exist in her world. She falls way too much but she gets up each time. She hasn't found her rhythm or her wings yet, but I think she's close. Not only did she start challenging the cognitive distortions that tricked her into seeing the world in such a black and white manner, but she also learned not to fear her emotions. So I think to myself, my 20s are not a nightmare. I'm going through a transitional phase in my life and it's not easy because life is not supposed to be easy. Life is not fair, but we learn to make do with what we experience. We also allow ourselves to appreciate the small victories. We are growing, but it won't always be like this. Maybe this is just the rain before the rainbow. Thus, just because we're experiencing challenges does not mean they are always going to be our challenges. Challenges are meant to be conquered.